Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm genuinely glad you're here. I'm genuinely glad I'm here. So whether you found this podcast on day one, day it launched, or 6 months from now, or maybe years from down the road, I want to say thank you for giving me a little bit of your time today, okay? Because time is really pretty much all we have at this point, and how we spend it eventually becomes who we become. And that's exactly what this podcast is about. It's not productivity, or it's not just productivity, I should say. It's not hustle, or not just hustle. It's not becoming someone you're not. It's becoming more capable of carrying the life that you keep saying that you want, right? So that title of the show, it's Built For It. Welcome to the Built For It podcast. I am your host, Bryn E Harris. And I chose those words very intentionally because I don't actually believe people are born built for it. I don't think Olympic athletes are born built for it. I don't think incredible parents are born built for it. I don't think great leaders, great artists, great business owners, great teachers, great partners, I don't think they arrive here fully formed, right? I think they become built for it. And somewhere along the way, they stopped practicing the life that they were leaving, and they started rehearsing the life they were becoming. So that word, rehearsing, it's actually, I guess, pretty important because you're going to hear it a lot around here. I'm a theater person, and before I studied project management, and before I became really fascinated with neuroscience, and before I spent years thinking about systems and habits and identity, my first language was theater and storytelling. And so I grew up believing that rehearsal wasn't where you proved yourself. It's like rehearsal was where you became someone capable of opening night. Right? And opening night is just you being witnessed. If you have another person in your life, then you're witnessed. And that's being seen, that's public eye. So that's an opening night. And hard conversations with people you really love and really respect can sometimes be harder than going to work every day. So nobody expects perfection on the first table read, and nobody walks into rehearsal already knowing every single beat and every single cue and every movement. That's actually totally why rehearsal exists. So, to repeat, rehearsal is just repeating, right? To repeat, to adjust, to fail safely, to discover, to build. And you know what I mean? That makes me start wondering about a couple of things. Because what if life works exactly the same way, right? Because what if you've just forgotten we're allowed to rehearse? Think about that for a second. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, we just started believing we should already know. I always do this. I always get mad at the kid that I was when I didn't know something. I'm like, oh my God, I was so stupid for saying that to her or to him, or for thinking that way. I just didn't know. But in that moment, that was the moment that I made that realization, or I learned that lesson. So how can I be just hating on myself at that age for not knowing something that in that moment was when I learned it? So we demand that of ourselves, right? We demand that we are always confident, already successful. We got to already have the answers. And if we don't, maybe we're not cut out for it. We're like, maybe you should just only work on what you're good at. Right? Let go of the weaknesses. Just do what you're good at. Well, I think that's horseshit. I think confidence has been wildly misunderstood because we treat confidence like it's the ticket that gets us into the arena, right? But every person I've ever admired, every truly extraordinary human being I've ever studied, they they seem to have like figured out that something is a little different. It's like confidence wasn't what got them to show up. Like showing up is what eventually made them confident, right? That's a really different story. And stories really matter. In fact, that's what today and today's conversation is really all about. So, story, not storytelling necessarily. Not like movies, not novels. But story is like the invisible framework that your brain uses to make sense of your life. It's like it's a container, right? It's like the cloche over a beautiful glass cloche, or container over your dinner, or like the picnic basket, right? It's like the cover that goes over that potato salad. Get those flies out of there, right? So every story is a container. Every play, every film, every novel, every memory, every relationship. It's a container, right? It's a container because there are things that are not included. And a container says, like, it decides what belongs, right? And what stays outside, what matters, and what doesn't matter, of course. So a container in your memory is about what gets remembered. What do you bring attention to? What quietly disappears? Life isn't really any different, whether you realize it or not. Every one of us is living inside a story. Maybe your story sounds like, I'm always behind, or I'm terrible with money, or I've never finished what I start, or I'm just too old for that, I can't do that, or I'm not disciplined enough. I'm just never disciplined enough. I just really need to get up earlier, and I've never been lucky. Ever, right? I never won the lottery. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm just not that kind of person. Those aren't facts. Did you know that? They're not facts. Those are just stories. Those are stories that you're telling yourself. Those are stories that are powerful because then our brain doesn't simply just hear them. Our brain now starts to look for proof. So that's one of those things neuroscience teaches, right? Where your brain is incredibly efficient. It really wants patterns. It really wants certainty. It really wants to save energy. So once it believes something might be true, it starts collecting evidence. So almost like an attorney building a case, right? So your story is, I'm always behind. I'm just always behind. Well, your brain becomes astonishingly good at finding every unfinished project, every late payment, every forgotten birthday, every comparison on social media, right? Every person who seems further ahead than me, not because that's all that's happening. It's not because that's the question you've unconsciously asked it to answer. That's why. So prove that I'm behind. And your brain says, okay, great, absolutely, no problem, I can do that. So, but here's the beautiful part about that. It works the other way too. What if the story changed? So, not something fake. I'm not talking about fake. It's not standing in the mirror and saying, I'm a billionaire, while your bank account, obviously, you don't have, you're not a billionaire. But more like, I'm talking about something alive, right? Something growing. What if the story became, I'm becoming someone who follows through? Oh, now your brain has a different assignment. Now it starts noticing, like, I made my bed and I walked instead of scrolling, and I drank that water. I drank so much water today. And oh God, I had that difficult conversation. It was so scary, but I did it and it was okay. I like lived through it, right? And I kept one promise to myself today. Like, same person, same life, different question, different evidence. different story, and eventually a different identity, right? So that's kind of why I wanted this to be the first conversation we have together, because before we talk about business or health or leadership or relationships or purpose or money, or we have, any of it, we have to understand that there's a container, that we're carrying all of it, and we're deciding what goes in the container, and we're deciding what's not in the container. And it's literally just our story. It's the stories that we're telling ourselves. A relationship is just thoughts that you have about another person. That's it. Just a story that you're telling yourself about another person. So if the container changes, then every single thing inside it begins to change too, right? Okay. So that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. People will spend years waiting for proof that they are capable before they're like finally give themselves permission to even begin. So I'll start the business when I feel confident. I'll apply when I know enough. I'll go to the gym when I don't feel embarrassed. I'll speak up once I'm more comfortable. I'll ask them out when I stop being afraid. I'll write the book when I know it's good. That's such a good one, man. That's such a good one for me. Nobody wants to be sitting there writing and write the book. Everybody wants to have written. I want to have written the book. I want to get the praise, but nobody wants to get down and dirty and actually sit there typing, right? So I'll write the book once I know for sure. It's validated in my mind. It's good. Maybe you've said one of those. I know how I have. But here's what I've learned. Confidence almost never comes first. Never. Evidence does. Evidence does. Think about like a little kid learning to walk. Nobody waits until they're confident. They just stand up because they need to get over there. They wobble, they fall, they start to cry, it hurt. Falling down hurt, and they didn't do what they wanted to do. They stand up again because they want to get there. They want to get over there, and they're here, and they want to get there faster than the crawl. So nobody looks at a toddler falling down and says, yeah, well, I guess walking just isn't for you, kid. Of course not. So somewhere along the way, we stopped giving ourselves that same grace. That's crazy. Now we fail one time and suddenly becomes part of our identity. One bad relationship, I'm impossible to love. I can't be loved. One failed business, I'm not entrepreneurial. I don't know business. One missed workout, you're lazy, right? One forgotten promise, God, I never follow through. Ugh. It's fascinating when you really watch it happen too, because one moment, it's one event, it's one tiny piece of data, and suddenly we've written an entire autobiography around it. We've created systems around it. So, but if we started treating it like different evidence, or treating evidence differently, not as a verdict, but as information, then evidence doesn't have to become identity. It can become just instruction. So that's a very different relationship with your own life. It's like looking at your life as a scientist instead of the judge. Instead of categorizing things into good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, you're starting to change the hypothesis or make a little adjustment and then say, oh my God, that's a really interesting, outcome is very interesting, right? So if you can think about it with that curiosity a little more, that's one of those things I love about directing, right? It's watching an actor discover something in rehearsal. So maybe they missed a beat. The scene fell flat, or maybe the timing is completely wrong. But nobody panics. It's not nobody says, oh, I guess that actor's just really not talented. we get curious. We start going, oh, that's really interesting. What happened there? I wonder, oh my God, okay, so try it again. Just do it slower. Like maybe it was a tempo problem. Maybe like listen longer. Or maybe cross the stage before that line. Maybe it needs movement before we land it. Maybe don't perform the emotion. Maybe the stakes need to be higher. Maybe you need to trust it a little more in the moment. I mean, like there's so many ways as a director. You just start asking questions or giving an example of, I try to take them down a path. Like, what do you think? How bad do you need that? Or what does she need from you that you're keeping from her? Like, I start asking questions that get them towards that answer. So again, it's about being it again, saying it again, do it a little different, make an adjustment. That's what rehearsal is, right? That's what rehearsal is. It's information gathering. It's not identity building necessarily. It's like you're building a character, but you're gathering information, and then you're playing it up against nature or reality. So I think we've confused those two things to some degree. We started treating rehearsal like opening night. We're already there. As though every mistake deserves a final review. Like, oh yeah, she was shit. What if the season of your life isn't opening night? Right? What if you're in rehearsal? I mean, that's okay. Would you speak to yourself differently if you were like, oh, I shouldn't have already known that since I haven't learned it yet? That's okay, right? Would you allow yourself to experiment? Would you forgive yourself faster? Would you become more curious than critical? That's cool. I hope so. Because I honestly believe curiosity changes people faster than shame ever will. And I think we become pretty aggressive teachers on ourselves of just kind of the whip. But shame, and that bell, right, in Game of Thrones, shame. Shame doesn't change. Shame creates the pain to make it change, but people are pushing against that. They're not gonna pull in. And what we want is people to pull in, make changes based on pulling in. So that's a phrase that you're going to hear me say a lot around here. It's become almost a compass for how I try to live. And basically, we are what we repeat. I mean, I didn't say it. Aristotle said it. He's smart. But we are what we repeat. We are what we do again. It's not just we are what we do, or we are what we say. It's if we lie a lot, then we are what we do that a lot. If we say it a lot, we do it a lot. You're going to start compounding that energy towards a direction, whether you want to or not. So it's not just what we intend. It's not just what we post, not what we dream about, not even what we believe. It is what we repeat. Because repetition does something really extraordinary. Every repetition leaves a receipt. It does. Every repetition becomes evidence. Every repetition quietly casts a vote for the person that you are becoming. I mean, think about that. You don't become healthy because you ate one salad. You don't become trustworthy because you kept one promise. You don't become a musician because you bought a guitar. You become those things because you repeat the behaviors until they become more familiar than the alternative. Identity isn't declared, it's accumulated, right? I have increased my capacity to be able to level up in a way where the inevitable next step is the level up. So it's one repetition at a time. We level up. We build those little muscles. And here's where I think we've made life much harder than it needs to be, of course, because we don't celebrate outcomes at all. We totally ignore evolution. We celebrate losing 50 pounds, but we don't celebrate putting on our shoes when we didn't feel like walking. I get it. It's too small, right? We celebrate best-selling books, but we don't celebrate opening that blank document and typing the first paragraph that sucked and we want to throw it away, but we kept it and kept refining it. We celebrate marathon finish lines, but we don't celebrate the rainy Tuesday morning where the training run that nobody saw, right? That's where identity is actually built. Not at the finish line, at the repetition. You got to get those reps in. 10,000 reps, right? So it's the ordinary Tuesday at the choice no one applauded. That's why I want us to start celebrating something differently. We got to celebrate different. We got to start consecrating more ground. So we got to look at marks of evolution. It's like stargates, thresholds, marks of evolution, points at which big shift should be happening, and you mark that place to get there. So they're like little pieces of evidence that prove you're already becoming someone new. Not because you've already arrived, because you've moved. You're moving little bits forward. So maybe today's mark of evolution is simply this. You got out of bed the first time your alarm went off, not the 7th time after your boyfriend nudged you because it woke him up 7 times and you slept like a rock through it. So obviously, if you finally did that, if you finally made the phone call, if you finally drank the water like you said you were going to, if you finally actually apologized, that'd be awesome. Maybe you asked for help. That'd be new. Maybe you recorded your very first podcast. Those moments don't seem dramatic. I know, I get it. But they're sacred. The first time you work with a new teacher. First time you start a relationship with somebody. First time you start a relationship with yourself and start building that in a different way. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's evidence. That's the evidence. And the evidence is what changes identity. It's the reps. So imagine if every evening, instead of asking, did I accomplish everything? Did I get everything done? You asked, what evidence did I create today that my future self already exists? Just one piece, like one little receipt, one mark of evolution. I think you'd be just super surprised how quickly the story begins to change. Not because you're pretending, though. Not because it's inauthentic. I know, I get it. Acting gets a bad rap. We're plain. But you're paving and paying attention to a different kind of truth. You're like paving the way to a different kind of truth. So attention, paying attention, attention's important. Attention is really important, especially in today's age. Attention is one of those most powerful forms of creation we have. If you spend all your time consuming instead of creating, something to think about, I would say. So that's why I don't think transformation happens all at once. Of course, it doesn't happen all at once. It doesn't arrive like lightning. It accumulates, it compounds. It compounds quietly, usually, patiently, almost invisibly. Until one day, that's when the butterfly, right? Someone says, wow, you've really changed. And you smile and you say, it wasn't one day. It took me a long ass time. It was every ordinary day, every repetition, every receipt, every mark of evolution. Every time I chose to become just a little bit more built for it. So if all of this is true, if stories become evidence, if evidence becomes identity, if identity is shaped by repetition, then the obvious question that you got to ask yourself is, how do we actually repeat the right things, right? Because here's the truth. Good intentions are really great. Good intentions are beautiful. But they're terrible project managers. They really are. I can wake up Monday morning absolutely convinced that this is going to be the week. This week I'm going to finally eat better. And I'm going to finally launch the business. And I'm going to write the chapter. And I'm finally going to become whoever I've been telling myself I want to become. And by Wednesday, life has happened. The dog got sick. The car broke down. Somebody called in. Work ran late. The laundry exploded. Like everything. Like I got overwhelmed. I left my phone on. You know, it's like I got distracted. Sound familiar? Like, you know what I mean? Like everything. In the middle of the podcast, I forgot to turn off the thing. That's what happens. But I thought it meant I lacked discipline. It doesn't mean the same thing. I don't think it means that. I think it means a little something different. I think I lacked process. So one of the reasons I fell in love with project management is because it completely changed the way I looked at goals. So a good project manager doesn't just ask, what's the outcome? They ask, what systems need to exist for this outcome to become likely to the point of inevitable? That's a very different question. Because outcomes happen in the future, right? Because systems are the ones that happen today. You got to build them. Let's make it really simple. Suppose I tell you I want to wake up every morning at 5 o'clock. It sounds great. Super great. Waking up at 5 doesn't actually start at 5. Probably starts around 8 p.m. the night before. Or maybe even 2 p.m. depending on how much caffeine you had earlier. And what you ate. Did I leave my phone across the room? Or did I leave it under my pillow? Did I sit there watching and scrolling all night? Did I decide what I was wearing? Did I pack my tomorrow's lunch already so that everything's ready? Did I prepare my workspace? Did I know what the first task of the day was going to be? Or did I expect tomorrow me is going to magically become more organized than today me? You know, I've noticed about future me has got a lot of things that they need to be dealing with. We like treat future us like this mythical hero, right? Future me will figure it out. Future me already has it figured out. They will be more motivated. They will be more organized, right? Super organized. My future me has a lot of more energy as well, of course, because I naturally just work out every day. And I also run a business of several businesses, and also I speak across the world, and I've written a book, and I mean, future me's got a lot of jobs to do. I feel like poor future me sometimes. So we've been giving that version of ourselves this impossible job. What if instead our job was simply to become a really good teammate for tomorrow? I mean, like, leave tomorrow some breadcrumbs, right? Like, lay out the clothes, charge the camera, fill the water bottle, write down the first sentence, open the document. Just start there. Make the decision before you're tired enough to avoid it. Because success usually isn't one big, like, heroic act. It's like thousands of tiny kindnesses performed for your future self, by this self. That's why every week on this podcast follows the same rhythm, okay? Let's get down to it. Not because life is rigid, because rhythm creates reliability. It can create consistency. This podcast is an experiment of my consistency to be here for you every morning with just a little tidbit, a little 30-minute to 40-minute tidbit. Eat your vitamins, kid. So, think about musicians, dancers, athletes, actors rehearsing a play. Nobody walks into rehearsal and says, I wonder what we'll work on today. There's a rhythm, there's a cadence, there's a process. Not because creativity needs to be controlled, because creativity needs a place to land. So here's ours. Every Monday, we find our coordinates. We're gonna drop in. Excuse me. I gotta back it up here. We drop in Mondays, find our coordinates. What's mine? What's important? What's urgent? What do I got to organize? Like, we brain dump everything. So every appointment, every responsibility, every idea, every worry, every dream, get it out. Just get it out of your head and onto paper. Because your brain is incredibly good at creating ideas and creating stuff. But it's not great at like storing all of them, right? You got to start filing them. So you got to get it down on paper. You got to get it down on paper, then organize it. What's urgent, what's important, what's, again, mine to do versus someone else's to do. What belongs to this week versus another season. Then we calendar it. Calendar it not because calendars are exciting, but because calendars tell the truth. If it's important enough to build your future, it's important enough to deserve a place in your week, right? So otherwise, calendaring is not just about calendaring for you. Like I work with Sarah Arnold Hall. She's a coach that I follow, and she talks about calendaring for your best friend. You know, your best friend can't just go and do this task list like you're a soldier. It's about energy. So I like to think of it like you have to calendar for your energy. Are these positive fuel charging zones that you're calendaring, or are they energy sucks? And it's not like it's bad. I'm not saying that the people if you have to deal with certain people that are energy sucks, it's bad. It's just, does it require energy? Is it energy out or is it energy in? And you need to calendar yourself that way, because if you have an all-day calendar with energy out, energy out, energy out, energy out, and then you have nothing like filling you, then obviously your battery is going to go dead. Bottom line, you're going to have to reset. You're inevitably going to have to reset and take the time to recharge. So, Monday, drop it down, calendar it. Okay, that's part of the system. This calendar is the system. Tuesday is one of my favorite days because Tuesday asks a question that almost nobody asks. Not, can I do this? Instead, it's like, how do I make this easier to repeat? That's a systems question. Let's say I want to become someone who reads more. Wonderful. Where's the book? If it's buried in a drawer, there's not a reading system in place. If my phone is on my pillow and my book is across the house, I've already designed the wrong behavior, right? So our environment is always rehearsing us, whether we realize it or not. So Tuesday becomes the day we rearrange the stage. We move the props. We adjust the lighting. We hand our future self a better script. Not because we're weak, but because systems respect human nature instead of fighting it. Wednesday arrives, and this is where the magic starts, okay? Wednesday doesn't ask you to think. You've already built the system. You've already dumped the tasks. You built the system for your future self. Now, present self can just do. It's just build. Just get the reps in. It's rehearsal, okay? This is where the repetition happens. This is where the podcast gets recorded. This is where the workout gets done. The uncomfortable conversation happens. The proposal gets sent. The painting begins. The audition tape gets filmed. The first draft gets written. This is where evidence is created, not imagined, not visualized, but created, built. And almost without fail, the moment you begin building, that second you begin building, life's going to push back at you. Something's going to break. Something's going to interrupt you. Phone's going to go off because you forgot to create the system, forgot to put it on airplane mode. Someone's going to come in the door. Someone says no. Someone's just like, no. But I need you to do that. No. Something takes longer than expected. You get sick. Whatever. Welcome. You're finally doing real work. This means it's real work. And you know what? Resistance doesn't really show up when we're just procrastinating and hanging out, does it? It shows up when we're becoming. And that's exactly why Wednesday matters. It's build day, it's hump day, it's challenge day, it's whatever you want to call it, but it's what we've created an easy lubrication for the machine to run on Wednesday. So the goal is never to avoid resistance. We're not talking about avoidance. We're talking about becoming someone who knows how to make it easy. I'll make it look easy, right? How to keep building anyway. Goal is to become someone who knows how to keep building even though they do not want to. Because the systems are in place. So, if you stayed with me this far, thank you so much. I want to leave you with one final thought. Actually, one invitation. Because the podcast was never meant to become another thing you consume. I don't need another listener. I hope I earn one. What I want, though, is another person who's willing to practice. There's a difference. Because ideas don't change lives. Applied ideas do. Implemented ideas do. Self-reliance, we read and reading and regurgitating history is not the idea. It's learning and then putting it into your own life and seeing how that system works in place where you are creating. So we've all listened to incredible podcasts. I know we have. We've read remarkable books. We've taken notes. We've highlighted passages. We've downloaded planners. We've felt inspired. And then we quietly drifted back to our old patterns, right? Because we didn't care. We didn't care. I don't care. Why should you care about me? Because inspiration is a very short shelf life. It's a very short shelf life, right? Practice doesn't, though. Practice changes people. So I'm looking for practicers. People willing to get in there and jump in. So this week, don't try to reinvent your entire life. Don't make 12 new habits. Don't write a 50-page master plan. Don't promise yourself you'll never procrastinate again, I promise. Just begin collecting evidence. Just begin collecting one piece at a time. Wake up when you said you would. That's evidence. Drink the water. That's evidence. Take the walk. It's evidence. Finish the proposal. That's evidence. Put your phone down. That's evidence. Have the difficult conversation. That's evidence. Keep the promise you made to yourself. That's evidence. Tiny little things. Make the podcast. That's evidence. Ordinary things. Things that no one else will probably ever applaud. Those are the moments that matter. Because identity is rarely built during extraordinary moments. It's built during ordinary ones. And I want to introduce you to an idea that has become really meaningful in my own life. These marks of evolution, these graduating points, these crossing these finish lines, these are just, oh man, give me a sec. Doubled up my screen time. I know, right when I was getting to the meaning of life. Give me a sec. This is good shit I wrote. So yes, okay, we're here. Maybe the most important question of all is, what are you rehearsing today? Not all at once, rehearsal at a time, one rehearsal at a time. This is perfect. This is perfect that it's all up in the air and that it's a mess up. It had to happen like that. The point is, it's one thing, one little thing, one rehearsal at a time, one rep at a time. So as we close today, I want to leave you with just a couple of questions. What story are you living inside? If the audience was watching your story like it was a movie, what are they screaming at you right now? You know what I mean? What evidence have you been overlooking? What role is your future already asking you to step into? Who have you cast as your director? And why are you still giving them that power over you? Maybe the most important question of all, what are you rehearsing today? Is your life rehearsing you? Every single day, whether we realize it or not, we're rehearsing something, right? We're rehearsing fear or rehearsing courage. Courage. Are we doing scarcity or are we rehearsing generosity? Excuses or responsibility? It's going to compound comfort or growth, because we're always becoming something. The question is whether we're becoming on purpose. And listen, the world isn't slowing down for any of us, right? Like stars and planets, they're passing right by. And tomorrow is not some far off destination waiting patiently. It's only a few thousand miles away. It's not on the horizon. It's already making its way toward us with every sunrise and every decision and every conversation and every repetition. So this week, take a look at the steps you're taking. That's it. They're carrying you toward the future that you keep talking about. And when tomorrow finally arrives, will you have grown into the shoes that are waiting for you there? Or will yesterday still be trying to wear them? I mean, keep rehearsing, okay? Keep collecting the evidence. Keep honoring your marks of evolution and creating little moments of celebration. Because opening night is every time you feel witnessed by another soul. And whether we feel ready or not. And every day you choose to practice with intention, you become just a little bit more built for it. Thank you so much for coming. If you liked what you heard today, do all the things. I'll say more of this later, and we'll say more of this in the next podcast episode. But I'm really grateful for your time, and I don't want to ruin it by going, no, tell everybody about me. But if you did like it, and if you do know somebody who is trying to build their life up and build little pieces of evidence to make their thoughts change and change their whole mindset so that their life bends in a new direction, I don't know, check them out. Tell them to check this out. And I can't wait. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be making systems happen. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow. Keep rehearsing. Keep showing up. Keep building those muscles for the future your future will require of you.